Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Let's move on to Baker Mayfield, whose Browns had their 4-game winning streak snapped by the Steelers. Baker threw for just over 100 yards, and he had 2 interceptions, including his first throw of the game for a pick 6. He came into the game with an injured ribs and was replaced late in the third quarter of the blowout loss by Case Keenum. So, Big Bro Sell.
Yes, sir.
Is it time for these Browns to bench Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, it's a wrap. He's toast. Burnt toast. Like you forgot it was in there, just cooking up. Pick it up, crumbles, brittle. You know why?
Why?
Because if you want to separate the real from a faker, time to bench Baker. Bars. I tell you why. This is real. If you look at this situation, they about to Mitch Trubisky him. And they already started that Mitch Trubisky in terms of, oh, let's protect him. And let's make sure that we don't let him get hit anymore. Even though anytime you step between the white lines, you can get hit. So why you not protecting me in the first quarter? So the only thing that changes is performance. You can hide behind the thin veil of, well, this is to protect him in terms of health. But really, it's job security in terms of Stefanski and his health. The general manager who drafted Baker Mayfield is going. And they're not going to extend him that 5th-year option because they still can't put this team on his back, despite doing everything that they could in terms of helping them offensive line, running game, receiving core, even defense. Baker Mayfield cannot be the reason this team wins. What's the biggest difference between the Cleveland Browns and the 2 teams that they're really chasing, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers? You can't look at the surrounding talent. You have to look at one position and one position only, that quarterback position. And that gap, that schism between Lamar Jackson and Ben Roethlisberger and then Baker Mayfield is the reason why they're in this predicament. Kevin Stefanski's not going to go for this. He's not going to lose his job over a guy he didn't even draft. So, yeah, it's time to bench him, and I think they already started that process.
I think that you were exactly right. I like being on the same side of the fence as my brother right here. The Browns have to bench Baker Mayfield, and it's because of the last thing Marcellus said. The Browns have lost 2 games all year. Outside of those 2 games, they have looked phenomenal. They lose to the Ravens the first week of the season, and they lose to the Steelers just yesterday. They lose to the Ravens by 32 points, the Steelers by 31 points. The Browns are not 32 points worse than the Baltimore Ravens. And the Browns are not 31 points worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers outside of quarterback. When you look at the Browns' running game, they're top 5 in the NFL. Rush defense, top 5 in the NFL. Turnover margin, #1 in the NFL. The Browns versus the Steelers, that is an evenly matched game, except for one position. Quarterback. The Browns versus the Ravens. I give the Ravens an edge, a touchdown or so favorite. But then when you factor in quarterback, that is a 32-point game. Baker Mayfield is no longer not helping the Browns. Baker Mayfield is now hurting the Browns. But I want to show y'all at home a little bit more nuances. Let's look at the play. The first pass of the game, Baker Mayfield's interception. How in God's name do you throw this? It's man-to-man coverage. That's cat coverage, mano-a-mano, 5-on-5. Y'all see it there. All those men have those. Minkah Fitzpatrick is dropping into what you call the hole, the middle of the defense. He's reading Baker's eyes. Baker, don't make it so easy. Baker stares down Harrison Bryant. Minkah's staring at Baker, and just like that, it's an easy pick 6. The reason I show y'all that isn't just to give you a breakdown, but to say this. That coverage on 3rd and 4 is the first coverage defenses learn. 1 hole. 1 robber. It's 1, cover 1 with a robber. Minkah Fitzpatrick was a robber. If I know that, sitting in my suit, that's the first coverage you learn. Baker Mayfield, how do you not know that? Completely embarrassing. Baker Mayfield is the reason the Browns won't go as far as they should.
Yeah, his underperformance is undermining other players and their talent level and their abilities. Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., 5 catches yesterday. Combined. You know how much I would dog curse my teammate if he was the reason why all of a sudden I'm starting to fall off a cliff, despite me, if I had something suitable at that position, would be just fine. I don't need the GOAT. I don't need the greatest quarterback. I don't need a former MVP. I just need a guy who is not going to hurt our chances of playing optimal football. Look at this Baker Mayfield over his last 20 starts, because everybody always gets caught up in that rookie year, which some people will even look at glass half empty, glass half full. But let's say good year for him. Over his last 20 starts, he's 9-11. That's losing record. 59% in completion percentage, 25 giveaways, and 80 passer rating. He has not passed for over 250 yards in back-to-back games. What? He is a former #1 overall pick. And we're looking at a guy who has a lower passer rating than some backups or unknowns or guys who are heading that way. Sam Darnold, Dwayne Haskins, Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, and Nick Foles. Like, what is Baker Mayfield? He should not be in that category. He should not be in that area in terms of lower tier quarterback. But that's how he's playing. And everything else that they have, offensive line, Football Outsiders had it as the #1 offensive line unit. We know their rushing game is strong, but all of a sudden you see yesterday only 75 rushing yards. I understand that Nick Chubb was out, but still Kareem Hunt can tote the rock. I don't even want to say cancerous in terms of personality and leadership. I'm talking about in strictly performance. He is the weakest link, and that is why this team can't go out there and realize their goals.
We joke oftentimes, especially in this climate, we joke in and sometimes with sincerity, talk about privilege, all these different types of privilege. Baker Mayfield is benefiting from being a first-round #1 overall pick. Like, there's a privilege that comes with that. In the NFL, it was my second year in the league, my first year in Philly. We took an outside linebacker in the first round of the draft.
What's his name? Names and numbers.
No, he's my dog. He's my dog. Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith. He was my dog. He played defensive end. The problem was we had Brandon Graham in Philadelphia. We had a beast named Trent Cole. We had Connor Barwin coming off a freakazoid season. So we were trying to find a place to put Marcus Smith. We couldn't put him at defensive end because we were stacked out there. So they was like, okay, well, we drafted you in the first round. Let's move you to inside backer. He's not an inside backer. But because he's a first-round pick, Marcellus, we had to force him on the field.
Gotta get it.
And okay, you know what we're going to do? Dime package. One linebacker, we're going to put you on the field. He didn't have a home there. But because he's a first-round pick, just kept forcing it. We kept forcing it. We kept forcing it. Well, finally, I don't know what happened. He got his money, though. Shout out to my dog. Shout out to my dog. He got his money.
I don't know what happened.
I say this to say, the Browns keep forcing Baker and forcing Baker and forcing Baker because he was a #1 overall pick. The Browns have to look at it like this. Y'all got 2 game managers at quarterback on your roster. You got Baker Mayfield, you got Case Keenum. But Case Keenum is a better game manager than Baker Mayfield. Case Keenum under Kevin Stefanski just 3 years ago was 11-3 as a starter, led that team to the Minnesota Miracle. That wasn't Kirk Cousins. That was Case Keenum. The time to bench Baker Mayfield is already too far gone. The time is now.
Yeah, look, what did I say last week? You only get yanked when you're yankable. And look, all this protection, football is violent. It is 100% collision sport. Don't give me this, oh, you know what? You took one too many hits. It's time to take you out. No. This is what they call a muscular move. It has multiple intentions. This is the coach saying right now, Stefanski's like, I got to send a message upstairs. And this message is to Andrew Berry, the general manager. The same Andrew Berry who's like, I didn't draft this dude, but I will dress him up. I will put lipstick on this pig to make sure that somebody kisses him and thinks he's cute. And guess what? The offensive line, all of a sudden, when you're playing top-tier competition, you can see the warts. 76-13 in combined scores against the Ravens and the Steelers, and you were supposed to be ready for these matchups based on record, based on everything around you. So I think it's a quiet conversation behind closed doors. Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, they're looking at each other like, message. I hope he gets this message. They need to sit him out because the course has already been started. Mitch Trubisky has now landed in Cleveland, and this is going to be the same result. Sooner or later, they're going to get him out of there.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. We're going to see what Baker has in store, but it does not look promising. Coming up, Tom Brady's Bucs blew out Aaron Rodgers. I was so surprised. They blew out Aaron Rodgers and the Packers on Sunday. We'll tell you if we were impressed with Brady's Bucs or disappointed in Rodgers' Packers. That's next. Speak for yourself.